If you're stranded in a desert with someone with only a bottle of water and a baseball bat, and you can't share the water, and the other person takes the water first, what do you do with the bat?
Let's go around the NHL and do some Combine stuff before we get to Katie Nolan. So the Combine happening in Buffalo over the weekend. And Pete, why don't you give us the question that the player was asked?
Yeah, okay. So Taylor Hassey of DK Pittsburgh Sports reported that the Montreal Canadiens, who are known for giving some pretty weird questions or prompts at the Combine, had another weird one this year. Said, here's the question. If you're stranded in a desert with someone with only a bottle of water and a baseball bat, and you can't share the water, and the other person takes the water first, what do you do with the bat? And this was reported because Caleb Denoye said he'd hit a home run. He would take the bat and hit a home run. That is an unbelievably good and nonsensical answer to a nonsensical question.
I mean, throw it back at them, confuse them. They're trying to throw you off your game, throw them off their game.
100%.
What would you guys do in that situation?
I would have so many follow-up questions. Who is the person? If it's my sister, she can have the water. Like I'll die, whatever. If it's a random person, should have taken the bat because now I have a weapon you don't, and it's every man for themselves. But if it's someone I care about, like I'll sacrifice myself. If it's a teammate, if it's my captain, like that's my.
So
that's
it says you can't share the water. Fucking says like, does it mean like if you both drink the water you die or something? Because what I do is I use the bat to get the water. You can do that without hitting somebody with it.
Depends on the person.
You go out to push. They drop it.
That's why I have so many.
I have
so many questions. It so depends on the situation. Like if I can. Yeah, I mean, obviously the implication there is like, will you beat the fuck out of this person for the water? Like, will you do anything to survive? Probably.
I will intimidate them with the bat.
It's fucking Lord of the Flies. Like it becomes every man for themselves.
I'll be honest. I'd drop the bat. I get them to give me the water. Or just talk to them, charm them.
The desert's tough because if it's an island, then I will work to try and find my own water. A desert, that's not really an option.
If it was an island, I would use the bat to crack open some coconuts,
exactly.
And I would drink the water out of the coconuts.
So that was my thought when the home run question, where the home run response was given, was like, you bash some coconuts, but then it's like, it's a desert. There's not really anything around. So
really, the right answer is you plant the water in the sand, and then it grows a water tree, and then you all have water.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean, the other thing is like, just because you have the water, like the water's going to run out eventually. It's a bottle of water. You're still going to die.
You know what I would do?
Rescue is an option. That's what I'm working towards.
So everyone, they need some sort of liquid. I would piss on my hands. Better grip on the bat.
Seems like
or a posada.
Nice.
Slug them. Get the water. They would think that when I began to piss, they'd think, oh, they're doing some sort of thing so they can drink. No. I'm taking this at bat as seriously as a heart attack.
That's a good plan. You take some practice swings with the bat and you say, my hands don't have as good a grip. Can I borrow that water? I need the hydration so that my urine flows and then I can pee on my hands.
Right.
And then you really put them in a box.
Because ultimately the biggest problem for each of you is how are you going to do something cool with the bat, not how are you going to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Pete and I would both go undrafted.
I just don't have enough information in the situation. I would like to think that management would be impressed by the extent to which I thought about it.
I'm more concerned. What do they hope to learn by asking this question?
Just how you respond under pressure, I guess.
I guess.
I think it's more of like
are they going to take people off their draft board if they're like, I'm killing the other person?
I think it is. I don't know exactly what they're looking for, but I feel like these questions tend to be a little bit of like a fishing attempt. Like you're trying to see if you'll get a particular thing that will either raise some kind of alarm bell or a green flag one way or the other.
You know what the funny thing is though? If you ask Connor McDavid that question, his answer is, I don't know. I just want to play hockey, man.
Yeah.
And then like when you hear Connor McDavid say that, you're like, this guy doesn't care about none of the bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, you have Sebastian Aho on this podcast and you ask him dumb questions and he's like, I don't know.
Did you hear what
locked in?
Did you hear what Leon said when someone asked McDavid, like to young players who watch your pass on the power play where you absolutely killed Barkov and was it Barkov and Forsling? But yeah. I think it was Barkov. No, Barkov and Ekblad, which it's a little
makes a lot more
sense
sense. Yeah.
than Forsing. But like where you walk Barkov and Ekblad, what would you tell a kid who wanted to
Like a
like
learning
understand
thing,
how to do that? And McDavid was trying to answer the question, and Draisaitl was like, "You just tell them that they can't do that.
Well,
that you can't learn that."
I mean, it's good to know your limitations.
Exactly. A big thing from the Combine is the rise of a young man called Brady Martin. And I was seeing videos about this kid. I was seeing chatter about this kid. And I believe our dear friend Cam Robinson of Elite Prospects said that he would not be surprised if he went as high as number 4 overall to who? The Utah Mammoth. And Utah's a very interesting team in this draft because famously they jumped way up by winning the second lottery drawing. So they're picking higher than their team needs, and they're willing to trade the pick for a young star player, or maybe they get a little creative. And Brady Martin, a kid who is a physical center and has something to do with farms, is now the talk of the NHL. We asked, who is Brady Martin? Sean, could you answer that at all for us?
A little, I get kind of maybe. First off, the thing I found the most interesting was that Cam said that either he or someone asked Brady Martin who he looks up to, and he said Sam Bennett, Tom Wilson, and Matthew Knies. So I think we have maybe a Rat Prince.
We have a real shithead on our hands.
If Brad Marchand is the Rat King, maybe we have a Rat Prince here. And shout out Josh Allen. He's a farm boy. First off, he's the middle child of, well, he's got 3 siblings, 2 brothers, 1 older, 1 younger, and a younger sister.
So he's not the middle child.
No, but he's a middle child.
You can have 2. I feel
There's
like
2 in the
that's
middle.
really
It's a double-
fudging the
it's
numbers.
a
Yeah,
double-
no, I'm a middle child. I'm the
It's a double
third
star
or
4.
fourth.
Just because there's extra stuffing doesn't mean it's not in the middle.
All right.
And he's the middle of 2 boys, which I think is the most important part.
Okay.
But he also has the element of having a younger sister that, you raise, protect, stuff like that. But apparently, during COVID, they were all living on a farm working, and the boys, because they had a bunch of time, just bought cows. And they raised cows and started their own line of beef that they sold. So these
he's
boys
at risk for gout.
No, but he's a go-getter. He had time, he had an opportunity, and he went and he did it.
He's at risk
I like
for gout.
Pete's thing on the gout.
Yeah.
Is he the next Paul Bissonnette, or
maybe
is he the
he's
next Sam Bennett?
The reason Biz has gout. He's selling the beef.
He's giving his opponents gout.
He's like, hey, I'm a good guy. I'm just trying to make friends across the league. Here's a bunch of steaks. They expire in 3 days. Eat them all now.
An important part of the thing that we never brought up with Biz. How did Biz get gout before Jacob Chychrun?
Because Jacob Chychrun doesn't overeat.
Yes, I mean
He
that's
knows
the thing.
it's precisely calculated how much raw liver he should eat.
Okay.
And
Fair.
Biz is eating at least 20 ounces of steak
He's
every
a
night.
gout getter.
Gout
getter.
Okay, so this is the number 1 riser in the draft, we think. But he's a physical center. He's got some nasty to him.
And I mean, if that's not the GMBA MO, I don't know what is.
I mean, if he was American, I would say that the Bruins are going to trade David Pastrnak to get this guy.
Yes, I agree. This rules because this guy can't go higher than 4, right? This isn't like a Beckett-Seneca situation. Although maybe it is, because this is a 2-player draft.
Yeah,
They say
saw
it's
some stuff about
Schaefer and it's
Higgins.
Misa.
Saw some stuff about Higgins maybe sliding.
Oh, Higgins is sliding.
He performed very well at the combine.
But
To what extent you take that?
okay, so this will bring me to another thing from the combine I want to discuss. Hagen sliding, we think. Buffalo Sabres, per everybody, very active, telling teams they're willing to do stuff. They want to make moves. Elliot Friedman says that they are willing to move their prospects in exchange for more immediate NHL help. I think of the Ryan McLeod trade last year.
Mm-hmm.
They need to make more of those trades. Yes?
For better players.
Yeah, they need to address their top 6, and they need a top pair right shot D man.
Okay, so they need a top pair. A top pair right D man. I say Noah Dobson. You have the 9th overall pick, and the New York Islanders have to want James Higgins. I don't think that James Higgins is falling to 9, but say the Islanders take Schaefer, Misa, number 1. I think people expect it's going to be Schaefer.
Mm-hmm.
They still will want James Higgins. If there's a possibility, a team that didn't think it was going to be within range because they had like the 13th or 14th or whatever pick it was going to be, they move all the way up to number 1, or I think it was going to be like the 11th or something like that. But they move all the way up to number 1, and they end up being able to come out of this thing with both James Higgins and the number 1 player in the draft, Matthew Schaefer. Ooh, could be very fun. Yeah, so Buffalo Sabres, I am trying to trade that pick to the Islanders, and I'm trying to get my right shot defenseman because, God, they need that.
Yeah. I mean, if they really want Higgins and they're worried about him not sliding to 9, they trade Matt Barzal to the Boston Bruins. It would be very funny if the Bruins ended up with Barzal.
I mean, I think if you
were all this time,
I think if you are trying to move up to get Higgins, you need to be attacking the Utah pick. Like that's the one that there's been a clear indication that they're willing to trade. Because otherwise, it's not like it's super common to fucking move around lottery picks.
I would not be surprised if lottery picks moved this year.
I do think this year there seems like to be a lot of reason to think that it might, but I'm just saying, like generally speaking, it doesn't seem like it happens all that much. But again, there's no way. I mean, you never know. Like Shane Wright was the first overall draft pick until he wasn't, and then he was 4. Mm-hmm. But like, I would be shocked if Higgins fell. Like it seems like the Utah pick is the only avenue for someone to move up and get Higgins if they're not currently holding that pick.
I don't think that Higgins gets to 7. I will say that.
I mean, even Shane Wright, like he fell, but he fell to 4. Yeah. Like Higgins, I don't think Higgins has fallen past. Like, I mean, fuck if I know honestly, but like I would be surprised if Higgins fell past 5, 6.
But we're talking about 9.
Because 9 gets you within striking distance. Otherwise, the Islanders. Where do the Islanders pick next?
But like, I don't think striking distance is good enough. Like, if you're the Islanders and you're making that move, I think you need to be confident that you're like. I don't think it happens before draft day. I think it happens on draft day when you know you're going to be able to get a player that you want.
Yeah, I think it would have to be like in place for the draft to see as things are happening. And then if he's there at 7 or 9, then maybe you strike a deal. But you don't strike a deal hoping that he falls to that if that's who you have in mind.
Especially with like if Utah is big on Brady Martin, like I think there's probably a chance you get him after 4. So if you can trade out of 4 and then trade back into the top 10 or something like that.
I actually don't know about that. I think that if Utah likes Brady Martin at 4, they're like, we'll take him at 4.
Well, yeah, but if you don't have to, like if they're more into Brady Martin, then like it's a Beckett Seneke situation. Like we don't know, right? But like say that the Ducks were the only team really interested in there, like you can risk moving back and then moving back into the top 10 or whatever and get him. If you're moving into like 7 or 8 or 9, like the Sabres, for example, don't need that draft pick in theory. If you could trade with Utah and get them back in the top 9 so they can get their guy, like I think there's a lot of ways it can go.
We all silly like the mayor.